Hi folks, RSBN founder and CEO Joe Seals here. Did you know there is nearly $1 trillion of infrastructure and pandemic funds yet to be spent? That's right, there's a massive amount of money that the lame duck administration is pushing hard to spend in their last few months. If the president is able to push these funds out, we could see another prolonged inflation surge, just like during COVID. And I'm sure you remember the terrible effects that high prices had on most Americans. But there's hope. A surge in prices can be beaten. A gold IRA from Birch Gold Group is the ultimate inflation hedge for your savings in uncertain times. To see how to protect your IRA or 401k, get your free info kit on gold by texting the word Trump to 989898. Birch Gold makes it seamless to roll over your retirement account while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait for the president's spending spree to tank the dollar further. Protect your financial future now. Text Trump to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold.
Please help me welcome the 45th and soon to be the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's have a little fun, Paige, okay?
Here we go. You may have a seat to make sure everybody can see. Thank you so much. Am I the only one that hears that song? And I see you crying in the front row, right? There's something about that song and something about where we are today as a country. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. She's beautiful. She's in tears.
Thank you, darling.
I would like to point out, and I mentioned it briefly, but the fact that Mr. President rushed here from a McDonald's in suburban Philadelphia. Okay. You were there for a full hour flipping burgers,
We
the
were
fryer?
there for a while, mostly fries. We didn't get into that. We'll have to come back for the burgers, I think, but mostly fries. And We had a tremendous crowd circling the McDonald's, and the people were great, really. The whole state, you know what I say, the whole Commonwealth is as good as it gets, right? Don't you think? The whole Commonwealth. And I just want to thank everybody. I think we're going to do really well. We're way up in the polls. We want to keep it that way. We want to keep it too big to rig, you know? It's too big to rig. We got to make it that way. But we're way up now, and we're way up in all of the polls, I think, for the most part. And we want to make America great again. It's very simple. We want to make America great again, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. So
honestly, the fact that you chose to go there today and take the time, and I heard a couple of stories of people saying, thank you for taking time for the little people. And your answer?
To me, they're big people. I think everyone's, they're all the same. You know, but they said it was so successful. Honestly, the McDonald's just hit the rockets. I mean, you have to see everything. They said, sir, you don't have to do this stuff. I said, are you crazy? I'm not going to do this. They said, you can avoid this. Can you imagine that? I said, who's going to tell these people? I'm not telling, hey, maybe we can make this more exciting than the McDonald's stuff. How about that? But there's no way I wasn't coming. I know this area very well, maybe better. And some of the greatest people, so it's great to have such a crowd. They have an overflow crowd. They have people outside trying to get in. And I was going to suggest, if anybody would like to give up your seat, anybody? One hand. I've never had anybody raise a hand saying yes. Anyway, thank you very much.
Not happening today, but I thank you so much for making that trek from outside of Philly and now here in Lancaster. And then you have a busy night because we got some football to watch in Pittsburgh. Stop, all you Eagles fans. We can cheer for the Steelers tonight as well. I want to just give you a quick rundown. I mean, this is going to be, you know, Mr. President, he is as organic as it gets, right? So we are going to go everywhere tonight on all different kinds of topics. You may notice there's no teleprompter. Not necessary. We don't need that here. I'm just saying. So we have questions from the audience. We also have questions from a few of the lovely people behind me as well. We're going to go back and forth and take turns. So are you ready for this town hall? Let's go. The first question is someone I believe who is behind me. So you're going to have to tell me. I didn't get to meet you all. Bob, where are you? Hi, Bob. Here we go.
Hi, Bob. Ooh.
Come on up.
I like that outfit. Oh, that's beautiful. Where did you buy that? I want to get one of them.
Okay.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Can you help him out with an outfit?
Absolutely. I got just your size. Mr. President, I start the afternoon off. My name is Bob. I'm a retired union worker from Hazleton on a fixed income. Many Americans in my position struggle to make ends meet. Will you commit to helping protect Social Security and Medicare benefits?
A great question. The answer is yes. And, you know, when you say fixed income, because of Biden and Kamala, nobody knows her as Harris. You know, I can't use the word Harris. And by the way, it's her 60th birthday, so I want to wish her a happy 60th birthday. Right? No, happy birthday. And many more, and I mean it, so, you know, I do mean it, actually. I'm just looking at this gentleman. You don't look like you're retired to me. You look like you're in the prime. You could be if you wanted to be, right? You're doing
I'm
great.
trying.
Look at the size of the arms of this guy. I don't know. He looks pretty healthy. So people on fixed income have been decimated by the Biden and Harris regime. This has been horrible what's happened to them because we have, I think in history, I think in the greatest in history, they say no, it's 48 years. But I think we had the greatest inflation just about in the history of our country. They don't include everything. They don't include interest rates going from 2% to 10, but you can't get the money at 10, so therefore it's much higher. But the people that are hurt the most are people on fixed income, like Bob. And we're going to do a lot of things. For one thing, no tax on Social Security benefits for seniors. Are you getting Social Security? You don't look. What is your age?
57.
You look a lot younger than that. Doesn't he look handsome? He's a much better looking guy than I am, and look at him. You look good, and you have a good family, great family.
I've got a great family.
That's great. So you were hurt though because of the inflation. I mean, people were hurt because of the inflation, and especially the people that are in fixed income. And here's what we're doing. Number one, no tax on Social Security for our seniors. That's a big deal. No tax on tips also, as you know, and no tax for all different groups we're covering, right? And no tax on overtime. So if you work overtime, that's been the big sleeper. And you know another good one, I think something that's going to be really good is you can fully deduct your interest payments when you buy a car. We never did that. And a Wall Street genius called me up. He said, whose idea was that? It sounds pretty simple, right? But we've never done that. So you buy a car, you're going to be able to fully deduct your interest payment. That's a big deal. So you go out and buy a car. So we're going to do that for you. Also, that's a big thing. Also, very importantly, we're just going to make the economy better. Do you plan on working a little bit in terms of part-time jobs or any of that?
Yes, sir, I still do.
But one of the biggest things we're going to do is the economy is going to get good, but we have more liquid gold. You know, this is what caused the inflation. We had the best, we were energy independent. First time, I think, ever. We're energy independent, and now we're getting oil from Venezuela. We're getting tar from Venezuela because it comes out as tar. We have to heat the hell out of it. And it's done. There's only one place in the whole world that can do it, and that's in Houston, Texas. So for the environmental people, that stuff is going up in smoke in our territory, and we have the best, cleanest, the most oil and gas of any country in the world, including Saudi Arabia, including Russia, Saudi Arabia, all of them. And we're going to be using it. But here's the thing. We will get your energy bill, everybody in the audience, including businesses, down by 50% from 1 year from when we take office. And when that happens, everything else is going to follow. You know, so Sage, it was energy that caused, Bob, it was energy that caused the problem. And it's going to be energy that leads us back into the promised land. The energy went up, and also their stupid spending. They spent money on the Green New scam at levels that nobody's ever seen before. They just they could have thrown it out the window. It would have been fine. So, and thank you for doing this. This is great to have you. I've seen so many great stories about this woman. She's a brave woman, a great woman. Beautiful too, but I'm not allowed to say that. That could be the end of your political, you know, if you say that a woman is beautiful today, don't be a politician. It is the end of your political career. But she's beautiful. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you. And what I love about what you said there is not just the promises, which, by the way, who was the first person to talk about not taxing tips? I'm just saying. Yes, you were the first.
In fact, they've never said it again. She made it like a couple of months later. She said, and by the way, there won't be. Well, in the meantime, they're passing legislation that makes it very hard for people to skip or will, you know, ruin their lives a little bit. A waitress, I was in my building in Las Vegas, and a waitress came over to me and said, hi. I said, how you doing? The government is killing me. They're after me all the time about tips and all this. And I said, well, that's very interesting. And she said, like, there shouldn't be a tax on tips. I said, that's an interesting idea. This is my consultant. This is a good waitress. She was great. And I said, that's an idea. I thought about it for about 15 minutes, and I said, what a good idea. But, you know, they then came out like a month or two later. They made the statement. They got blown away because by that time, they're not going to be able to do it. They're not going to do it. Just like he was going to do the educational thing, you know, with the debt. With debt, you borrow money to go to college, and they were going to just write it off. He's been talking about it for 3 years. It's totally dead. They won't get anything passed. We're going to get it all passed. We're going to get it done very, very quickly. So those things. But from your standpoint, Bob, the Social Security is a big deal. So we'll take care of you.
And okay. I love the fact that Mr. Trump said, within the amount of time. You said, give us a year.
Go fast.
So it's not just a promise. It's, okay, give us a year to get this done. So thank you. That is huge for all Americans.
I have to say that this, that's right, you said 15 days. That's right. It's hard to believe. 15 days until we get to be great again, right? But we have, look, what they did is terrible because this guy won the nomination. He got 14 million votes. I'm not a fan, but he got 14 million votes, many more votes than anybody else. He had 22 people running. Kamala was running too, and she was the first one to drop out. Shockingly, he picked her to run, which, you know, I think he wished he had that decision to do over again. And they took it away from him. They took the presidency away. This is the first time in the history of our country, I mean, it was taken away like you take candy from a baby. And I don't use the word, there are a lot of words to describe it. It's a coup and everything. They took the presidency of the United States away from him. And honestly, they shouldn't be doing it. And, they keep talking about a threat to democracy. They're a threat to democracy, and she's a threat to democracy. What they did is a terrible thing. And just to finish, I believe that Joe Biden likes me more than he likes Kamala. And who would think that? And, look, the bottom line, so we had a debate, Joe Biden, we had a debate, and he didn't do great in the debate, but that's he didn't do well. And his poll numbers went down, but that's okay, because you come back from that stuff. And what happened is incredible. Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy, went in, and Schumer and all these guys went in, and they said, we're taking it away. Nobody's ever seen that before. Nobody's ever done it before. And it should never happen again. It was a terrible thing, I will say that.
I think at the end of the day, all anyone wants, even if your man or woman doesn't win the race, win the competition, is just for it to be done fairly. That's all that people want. So
I agree.
Here we go, 15 days and counting. We were talking momentarily here about taxes and no taxes on tips, et cetera, and I believe our first question from the audience is on that topic as well. Where's the microphone?
Right here. Hello.
Here we go.
Hello, Mr. President.
Hello.
My name is Suki. We've actually met before.
Uh-oh.
I have the tattoo.
Here we go.
I have the tattoo, the portrait tattoo on my leg. We met September 14th in Jim Worthington.
Oh, good. He's a good man. That's
yeah,
right.
and I have your portrait on my leg every single day. I get to show everyone.
Ooh.
I love and honor you.
All right, there's our story for the day.
Go ahead
Here
with
we
your
go.
question.
Okay, Mr.
Go ahead.
President, again,
Thank
my
you.
name is Suki. I have worked as a server bartender. I am a mom of 4 boys. My oldest is headed to medical school. My oldest son is a professional boxer. And 2 of my boys are MMA fighters.
Wow. Ooh. That means she's got those good fighting genes. That's what it means. Wow. Are they good? Are they pretty good? How are they doing?
He's all over TV.
Wow. Wow, that's great.
I am a proud mom. Most of my income comes from tips. Making ends meet in the economy is hard. Can you tell us your plan to lower taxes for working Americans like myself?
Well, number one, we're going to make the economy much better. I mean, that's bigger than anything we can do, is make the economy better. We're not going to let foreign countries come in and steal our businesses, our jobs, and everything else, which has been happening for years. And I must tell you, and I always tell them, why didn't you do something? When we were there, I did a lot about that. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We had the strongest border in the history of our country. I don't know if they have the chart, because this is such a different forum from from making a speech or doing a rally, but we have a chart that's an amazing chart. In fact, it's probably my favorite chart of all time. Because I wouldn't be here without that chart. And oh, good. We wouldn't be here. We definitely wouldn't be. But if you take a look, see the arrow on the bottom? That arrow is my final day in office, and we had the lowest illegal immigration that we've had, I guess, probably in history, certainly in recorded history, and it was going lower. And we were going to let people in. We want to have people come in, but they have to come in legally. We have to know they love our country. They can.
That's right.
We don't want people coming in that were up for murder, and not only up for murder, convicted. We have 13,099 convicted murderers that were released into our country from the prison systems, penitentiaries in other countries. And the last count was 180 countries when you think of it. And we just can't let that happen. We also, drug dealers, gang members, everybody. And if you look at Venezuela, if you look at a lot of these countries where they came from, they opened up their prisons and they allowed the people to come out. And honestly, I would have done the same thing if it's called open borders. They heard we were open. They took them out. Thank you. Oh, it's so cute. Look at her. She's very politically wise at that young age, right? Both. These are young kids, and everybody's liking politics nowadays. Well, we better win or they're not going to like it too much, I can tell you, right? They're not going to like it. So we can't let that happen. We're going to make our economy great, and you're going to really come along with it. And all of those other things that I talked about, including no taxes on tips, all of that's going to be just something very special for you.
That'll be a great thing.
Thank you. And tell your boys to do great. I'll be watching, okay?
Ethan Mercado, look out for him.
Okay, we'll be watching. We'll be watching.
President Trump.
Thank you. Congratulations.
I love you.
Thank you, hon.
Thank you, Suki. And I think that is something that has not been talked about enough. We will get there a little bit later in this town hall as well, but the effects on the economy because of the open border. Yes, safety, but also the financial drain in every aspect. So we'll get into that a little bit more as well.
I have to tell you that, if you look at the polls, they'll tell you that the biggest thing is the economy. Second thing is the border, but I think this is bigger than the economy. I think when you talk about the economy, I think you have to include inflation in the economy because the inflation's the worst we've ever had. I think it's just absolutely, in the old days, they used to call inflation a country buster. You go back hundreds of years, Germany had big inflation. It was destroyed. Other countries were destroyed by inflation. With all of that, I think what's happening at our border, where they're allowing millions of people to come into our country every year, totally unchecked and unvetted, coming from prisons and mental institutions and coming in as terrorists. We have the highest level of terrorism, highest level of terrorists that we've ever had. We've never had this many terrorists come in. We had one year where and I don't even believe this myself, the Border Patrol made these charts, and in 1 year, in 2019, I guess it was, they had 0 were allowed. Now, I think it's probably wrong. It must have been some, but 0. They put it down as 0. And this was not from me. This was from them. And the following year, it was 11. And now we have thousands of terrorists coming into our country. And nothing good can happen with that. Nothing good is going to come out of that. So I really think it's a big part of the economy, too. But I think the number one threat that we have, and I actually think the thing that people are going to be voting on most is what's happening on our southern and but our southern border. And I think it's the number one thing that people want to talk about.
Hi folks, RSBN founder and CEO Joe Steele here. Did you know there is nearly $1 trillion of infrastructure and pandemic funds yet to be spent? That's right, there's a massive amount of money that the lame duck administration is pushing hard to spend in their last few months. If the president is able to push these funds out, we could see another prolonged inflation surge, just like during COVID. And I'm sure you remember the terrible effects that high prices had on most Americans. But there's hope. A surge in prices can be beaten. A gold IRA from Birch Gold Group is the ultimate inflation hedge for your savings in uncertain times. To see how to protect your IRA or 401k, get your free info kit on gold by texting the word Trump to 989898. Birch Gold makes it seamless to roll over your retirement account while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait for the president's spending spree to tank the dollar further. Protect your financial future now. Text Trump to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold.
Yes, I totally agree. And we love that chart too.
I love
we
that
love
chart.
that chart too.
I sleep with it. I kiss it when I go to bed.
That's a great visual, Mr. President. Let's keep it going on the topic of safety. Our next question is also from the audience here. His name is Chris. Chris, yell out. Where are you? Here we go. Same spot as Suki. Hi.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Mr. President. Thank you for coming to Lancaster. As the Lancaster County Sheriff, I'm committed to upholding public safety and reducing crime in our community by working closely with local law enforcement and other partners. How does your plan for law and order in your next term support local sheriffs, like myself, to ensure we have the resources needed to protect our communities?
Great question. Are you the current sheriff?
I am. Yes, yes, sir.
Very good. Wow, that's pretty good. You look like it. That's pretty good.
Can I, real quickly, this is a statistic that I know you know, Chris. In the Commonwealth, 49 of 67 county sheriffs have endorsed Donald J. Trump.
I was one of them.
And the rest are coming because nobody's endorsing. We have the endorsement of almost every law enforcement agency group in the country, so it's good. They have none. I don't think they have any. So thank you very much. I'll give you an answer to that. So we have to protect our law enforcement. We have to indemnify them against the bad things. You know, if you do your job well, oftentimes they go after you. They want your house. They want your pension. They want to fire you. They want to. We can't have that. We have great people, and we have people that have to be given back their authority and their respect, because our cities are blowing up. We had the worst crime that we've ever had in the last year. Remember the other day, pretty recently, we were at the debate where I was debating with David Muir of ABC Fake News. And I said, we have crime at a level that we've never had it. And a lot of it's migrant crime now. The migrants are coming and they're causing crime, and they're tough as hell. And they're causing they're taking over like Aurora and in Colorado. And I mean, they're taking over buildings. They're in the real estate business all of a sudden, but they're vicious people. And they're taking over. And he said, no, the crime is down. Crime is down. I said, crime's not down. No, it's down. The following day, they released the figures, and crime is up 45%. And I haven't gotten this guy, David Muir. Everything I said, I said, who am I debating here? I had two of them from ABC, and I had her. She was the easy one, but they were terrible. They never questioned her on one thing, but he said, crime is down. No, crime is way up. And the FBI, we have to look at this, because the FBI put out charts that crime was down initially, because they didn't report certain little areas of the country, like the worst areas in the country for crime. And it turned out that their stats were very wrong and very misleading. But he was wrong, because it's up like at least 45%. That's an incredible. You take a look at Venezuela, take a look at some of these countries that are taking all their gang members and their criminals off the streets and giving them to us. Their crime is down 40, 50, 60, 70%. So we're going to give you back the dignity and the respect. You know, we have great respect for you, and we're not going to let this happen. You can stop crime. You just have to be given the go-ahead. You go to Chicago, you go to a lot of cities, and they rob a department store, and guys are walking out with refrigerators. They have it on their back with two friends, and air conditioning and everything. And they literally are stripping, and the police are standing outside, and they're shaking out of anger because they really want to do something, but they're told to stand down, and they're watching these criminals walk out. We're not going to have that happen. We're not going to let that happen. So thank you very much, Sheriff. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You know, I think, unfortunately, since you left office, and certainly 2020 and COVID and George Floyd, I mean, it has been tough, and that's why I think we're all so grateful for the men and women in blue, because you do put your lives on the line every single day. So thank you, Chris, honestly, and for being a leader there. But I'm sure that is something that these sheriffs have to worry about, to encourage men and women to come back to the police force, that they will be supported on a federal level.
It's become more and more dangerous. I mean, I visited a great family in Long Island where a policeman who was killed said, please open the door. They opened the door and they start firing. The windows were darkened. They opened the door and they start firing. There's not a thing you could do, even if you were allowed, and they're not allowed, to open the door with a gun in your hand. You're still not going to make it, because you can't beat that kind of speed. I mean, he's got a gun. And they started firing. He died. I went to the funeral. He died, and I paid my respects to the most beautiful family, and they can't even believe it. But the wife was telling me that she was so afraid it was going to happen. And things are happening today. It's a very dangerous profession. Of course, being president is a very dangerous profession also. You know, we were going over that the other day. 0.1% of race car drivers, that's pretty dangerous, right? 0.1% race car drivers die. 0.1%, these guys that ride the bulls, I mean, say what you want, they are very brave. But 0.1%, similar to like the race car stuff. With presidents, it's a lot of them. If you think about it, you know, you got Lincoln and Kennedy and McKinley and this and that, or get shot at, many shot at, Reagan and Ford. And this is a very dangerous profession, but I wouldn't change it for anything, because we're going to turn our country around. We're going to turn our country around, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it fast. Thank you.
And it does start with Americans being able to feel safe in their cities and towns every single day. It's interesting because was it just this past week when you sat down with the Wall Street Journal and called them out on a couple of things, I think is safe to say. Is that the best way to describe it? He let them know what he thought about the ways that they had reported things and certainly the way that even questions were being asked. And if you look back at that factually, whether it be tariffs, whether it be crime, like we were just discussing, whether it be the border, whether it be COVID. They were wrong about a lot of things, and you called them out on that. In particular, with what we were talking about with the southern border.
Well, we have to take care of our border. Our border is so important. And look, it's just common sense. People are coming through that are criminals. You're going to have more crime. And if you remember where Kamala was saying, no, the people that come into our country, they don't commit crime. They are far tougher. The one thing nice, our criminals look like very nice people by comparison to these people are vicious. The level, you just take a look at some of these gangs that are coming in. So our criminals look much nicer than they used to. That's the only thing we can say, but that's not much. The Wall Street Journal was interested. I had like a 2.5-hour meeting with them, and it was a great meeting. I respect the Wall Street Journal a lot. And we had with the editorial board, and they actually wrote a beautiful story about it, but the one thing they said that was great, we've watched this guy for 20 years. The one thing we know is that he's got no cognitive problem. I have no cognitive. She may have a cognitive problem, but there's no cognitive problem. It was nice that they actually said that. They said, if anyone has any questions, we were grilling this guy for 2 hours or 2.5 hours. Got no cognitive. In fact, if anything, he's maybe better. I don't even know if I like this. Maybe he's better than he was 20 years ago. So anyway, no, and I actually called for a cognitive test for all people wanting to run for president. I think not based on age. Some of the greatest leaders in the world, and I'm not 80, and I'm not that close to 80, but in the Biden case, he's 81 or 82. And that's okay because I know people that are unbelievably successful. By the way, a man who's very successful is Rupert Murdoch, and he's 93 or 94. He was at a meeting that I had the following day, and he's sharp as you can be. I mean, he's the same guy that I've known for 25, 30 years. He's sharp, and he's in his 90s. We've had some of the greatest leaders in world history that are in their 80s. But it was very interesting because in reading the article, it was a great article. But I appreciated that they said that. It's very nice that they say it. I've done cognitive tests. I've done them twice, and I aced both of them. And the doctor, in one case, said, I've never seen anybody ace them. They've never seen anybody ace them. But I'd like to see cognitive tests for anybody running for president or vice president. I think it's important in a way.
And it should have nothing to do with the number, the age, in my opinion. It's all about the test and turn them in and make that part of the requirement.
I did ask about it, though. Why can't they? They say it's unconstitutional, which I think is too bad or ridiculous. But I'd like to see that. I think it would be great if we could have, good, strong tests for people that are running for president, vice president. They do say, however, it's unconstitutional. Who likes the idea of that? I do. Yeah.
Well, there's an age minimum. So add that to it, 35 years and a cognitive test. Because you could be 41 and have cognitive issues, right? I mean,
I've said it for a long time, and I think it would be a great thing if we could do it.
Let me ask you one more time to wrap up the topic of the border, because the second you left office and Biden-Harris took over, they immediately implemented changes and changed drastically so many of these
99 changes, can you believe?
Immediately.
Like remain in Mexico. Like you got to remain in Mexico. You can't. That's a little change, right? And you think that was easy to get from Mexico? I said, we want to, and because of tariffs, I said, look, if you don't agree, I'm going to charge you 25% tariffs. They said, we would love them to remain in Mexico. I'll never forget. They were so against it.
So how quickly can these be implemented again and changes made?
Almost immediately. Remember one thing. I watched her the other night about a bill. The bill was a disaster, by the way. It was a horrible bill. Would have let people have immunity. It would have given people, millions of people would have allowed it to come in aimlessly. It was a hopeless, horrible bill. But she always uses that. And we would institute, she's trying to get tough now on the border after 4 years of destroying our country. Now, all of a sudden, a couple of months ago, they went to a little bit tougher. The only thing she didn't stop are airplanes flying over the border, loaded up. You know how many people? Hundreds of thousands of people come in by airplane. They didn't stop that. They forgot. I think they said they forgot. You know, they want to show a little toughness. But look, we need strong borders. We need great elections. If we don't have great elections and strong borders, then we don't have a country. Those two things, and other things, but those two things are at the top of the list. We have to have strong borders, and we want people to come in.
Yes.
But we want people to come in that can really do it, that can do a job. And we're going to get that. We're going to get that. But we have to get rid of the people. We have to get rid of the people that are now there. She is so bad. Remember what she said.
I'm sorry, when you say get rid of the people who are there, some of the illegals that are here?
No. I'm talking about the politicians.
The politicians,
that are allowing
okay,
this
I'm making
to
sure.
No, we have to get rid of the politicians. And remember what she said? She was interviewed on numerous shows and she couldn't come up. What would you do different? I can't think of anything. I don't know. She can't think. Do you know that 325,000, now think of a stadium, a big stadium be filled up many times. 325,000 children are dead or missing under there. They came across the border or they didn't. They're all dead, missing, or into sex slavery or slavery. 325, many of them are dead. I'm sure many of them are dead. Probably their parents will never see their parents. Like any parent, they want to see them. They get kidnapped, they get taken. 300, and they come through an open border. They're missing or dead, or they're in slavery. 325,000. Think of that. Think of what that means. The numbers, like unheard of. And remember, what would you do different? Nothing. I wouldn't do anything different. So immediately she's disqualified because he's the worst president in our history. She's the worst vice president in our history. And to think that, she's running for president is pretty ridiculous.
I feel like you all will agree with me that this is no one here or in this country that I speak to, and you speak to a lot more people than I do, is anti-immigration. It's about doing it the right way. And now we sit here, and I know you hear this everywhere you go, Mr. President, where you hear people saying, send them back, send them back. That process is not easy. No, but we obviously cannot even take care of the tax-paying Americans in this country. Yeah. So when you hear send them back, and some should be sent back based on a quote-unquote resume, what is that process like?
So let me just tell you, again, it gets down to the sheriff and local police. They know everybody in town. They know their names, their middle names. They have serial numbers. They've got everything. They know everything. They know all about these horrible criminals coming in from Venezuela, coming in from Colombia. They know everyone. Local police. The local police will work with others. And look, from a practical standpoint, it's very tough because there'll be one woman with two beautiful children who gets brought back, and there'll be tears, and the Times and all these crazy newspapers will do stories about one person when so it's a very difficult thing. But we start with the murderers. We know who they are. We don't know everything about them because they've been let in without being vetted. But we start with the murderers. Nobody wants to have murders. These are people that some were getting the death penalty. They were going to be executed in their own. Some killed more than 5 people. Some killed more than 2 people. One killed like 9 or 10 people. We want them out. We start with them. We start with the drug dealers. We start with the people that are causing. Oh, by the way, you start also with the terrorists. You got to get them out. And then we start figuring out what the hell we're going to do, because what they've done to our country, what they have done, and I'll tell you who was affected most, the black population, the Hispanic population, because their jobs are being lost. People that had jobs for years are losing their job now to people that came into our country illegally. So that's a really, and they're starting to see it. The black population over the last short period of time, their unemployment numbers have just skyrocketed. The reason is people coming into the country illegally are taking their jobs. So, and I'll tell you what's going to be affected very much are going to be unions. But you're going to see things happening that are it's just too much. In one town in Ohio, think of this, a town of 52,000 people, they put 32,000 illegal migrants in this town, right? 32,000 illegal migrants into a 52,000 people town. In Aurora, They have people that are running out and walking down the streets carrying weapons. And the landlord to the building is saying, I don't know what I'm going to do here. They're collecting the rent in the building for themselves. I mean, and this is happening all over. This is happening all over the country. You know, we mentioned a few different places, and a lot of mayors don't want to talk about it because it's bad for the reputation of the state and the town or the city that they're in. But look at New York, what's happened. Look at Chicago. Look at Los Angeles, what's happening. Our country's being destroyed by incompetent politicians. And you know, all they have to do, remember this, when they say a bill, she always said the bill wasn't passed because the Senate wouldn't want to go against Trump. It had nothing to do with me. The bill was no good. But listen, all the president has to do is she gets to the White House, wakes him up. They call because if it's after 4 o'clock, he sleeps after 4 o'clock. Get him the hell down to the Oval Office and say, President, sign the bill. All he has to do is say, the borders are closed. Tell that to the Great Border Patrol. The borders are closed, and those borders, that's what I did. I didn't have a bill. I had the best border maybe ever. I didn't have a bill. I just said, close the borders now. And they were closed. You don't need a bill for that.
They have been saying that for years now, that they needed to get it approved in Congress and all.
You don't need approval. I didn't have a bill. I didn't have a bill. I said close the borders. You know, my father used to tell me when, like, we'd hire some guy and, sir, could I have a letter of authorization that I got this job? And my father always used to say to me, you know, son, every time they need a letter, they never work out to be any good. The guys that don't need a letter, those are the ones that you want. Because when they ask for a letter, that means they don't have it. This guy, so what happens is, you call up the head of the Border Patrol, you call up the group, and you say, effective immediately, the borders are closed, and they close up. And that's what I had. I didn't have a bill. I closed up the borders.
And the billions of dollars that are being spent across the country to pay for the education, the health care, the rent, the insurance for illegal aliens can go to Americans, can go to minorities, can be spent on veterans who are on the streets homeless. So I have hope, and we're going to hold you to this.
But you know, it's not financially feasible or sustainable for us to be paying for hundreds, not for hundreds, for millions and millions of people. It's estimated now that the real number is over 21 million people in 3.5. 21 million people came into this country. Many of them are seriously bad people.
And that's why the graphic is the best graphic ever.
I was wondering who that was. It's the fake news. No, these guys are great. These are the photographers. When they take good pictures, I like them. When they take bad pictures of me, I don't like them. They usually turn out to be not so nice, but that's okay. Here's a man. Pulitzer Prize, Doug. Pulitzer Prize. It's the only thing good about the New York Times is Doug. Pulitzer Prize, everybody. Pretty good. He's good. He's a good guy. They're all good guys. Very talented guys. Good.
Yes, we pay extra close attention to any movement up near the stage.
I was wondering who's coming in. I was looking. I was getting ready. Put up your dukes. Here we go.
Here we go again, yes. Back to the audience. Where is Paul for a question?
Good evening,
I got to get
Mr.
to work.
President.
He's behind me.
Hello, Paul.
All right, Paul, let's go. Hi. You ready?
Ma'am. And to kind of talk a little more about the border. My name is Paul, and I served in the United States Army and the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Thank you.
We got to get you on camera, you know?
Let me get up. These are the most uncomfortable chairs, but I think we'll get up. There is no chair like that chair.
I'm so glad you said it.
How are you? Nice to see you, man.
Very
That's
nice to meet you, President.
Go ahead, please.
Sir, right now members of the National Guard are mobilized because of the crisis at the border. How soon will the wall get finished if you're elected?
So the wall, we built hundreds of miles of wall, more than I said I was going to be doing. And again, I had a hard time with Congress on the wall. I took it out of the military because we rebuilt the military. We had a lot of money in the military. We took out billions because I considered it an invasion of our country. It was very easy. And we then got sued by Nancy, crazy Nancy, and all the Democrats, and we got sued 11 different times. We won all the suits. It was brutal, but we were sued a lot. And we got hundreds of miles of wall built. And then I said, let's add some more. And one of the reasons we did have the great success is because I got the wall built. I was building wall at levels that nobody had ever seen. And we were going through tremendous obstacles. It was hard, but we got it done. And then I said, let's add 200 miles, because there were certain areas. You know, it's interesting, when you add wall here, you got to add a little more wall here. And it was just it's like water. It's like water. And we were ready to do that. We ordered 200 miles. It was ready to be thrown up. It could have been thrown up in 3 to 4 weeks. And then we had a very unfortunate election. And these characters took over. And I said, you know, something's going on. They're not putting up the wall. They have to put up the wall. It would have been unbelievable, totally secure, very hard to get through the wall. That was the wall specifically that Border Patrol and all of them wanted. This is the one that they wanted. It wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to have concrete plank going up 30 or 40 feet. They said, has to be steel, has to have, you know, have to be able to see through it, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a combination of steel, concrete, and then rebar in the middle, each one of those pieces. And then they have, I told this here, they have an anti-climb panel on the top. And I hated it because I didn't like the way it looked. These things were so beautiful. And we had to put the anti-climb. But I said, no way I'm going to do that. I hate it. It was costly, but I hated it. And then we had people climbing. And it's true, the anti-climb panel is exactly what it is. It was much harder. So I said, all right, we'll do it. But this is exactly what they wanted. And they didn't want to put it up. And that's the first time that I realized that they actually want an open border. Who would want an open border? It's like, who would want an open border? Who would want men playing in women's sports? Who would want all these transgender operations on your children? So we built a tremendous amount of wall, and we were going to do another 200. But I got Mexico to come in, and they gave us thousands and thousands of troops while we were building the wall. That was hard to do. Remember, I always said Mexico will pay. They paid much more than what I was talking about. They gave us troops. They did a really good job. They didn't want to do it. They said, no way. And I said, way. And they said, no, we're not doing it. And I said, if you're not doing it, I'm going to charge you a 25% tariff. And they said, these tariffs, I'm telling you, it's my favorite word in the dictionary, outside of love and religion. But so I said, we're going to charge you. And we got the troops from Mexico free of charge. And they were, you know, it really did the trick. We had great success. But the net result is all of this wall that we built, they ended up selling for 5 cents on the dollar. Very expensive stuff, too. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And Texas wanted to use it, Arizona wanted to use it, and the federal government wouldn't sell it to them. And they sold a lot of it for 5 cents on the dollar. These are people that hate our country. I'm convinced of it. There's something, you got to vote them out. We got to get back to common sense, right? Thank you.
How immediate is that process? We talked about sending certain individuals back. How immediate is the wall process? Can they begin building right away?
Yeah, the wall.
Yeah.
I've become very good at building walls, actually. Remember, there's only 2 things that work. Everything's obsolete. Other than that, see their cameras? Look at these beautiful cameras they have. In 2 weeks, they'll be obsolete, right? Everything. The computers are going to be up. 2 things. What are the 2 things? Wheels and walls. They're not obsolete. They always work. And you can always have a wheel and a wall, right? Look at her. She was the one that was crying. If she was crying, that means she likes you like Trump. Look, she's crying again.
She's crying again. Here we go.
Stand up. Show everybody.
Oh.
Very nice. Thank you, sweetheart. Are your friends as passionate as you? Yes. Well, oh boy, I'm glad they have those good seats. Thank you, darling. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We call these, don't we call these happy tears? These are happy
Those
tears,
are
of course.
tears
yes.
that are happy tears.
Okay, let's keep it going. Olivia, I'm not sure, is Olivia in the audience or is Olivia on stage? Hello, Olivia. Come join us. You get to stand in the middle here. Go right ahead.
Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Olivia, and I'm a first-time voter from Stevens and a college student. Based on the inflation and weak job market, it seems like a big stretch that I'll ever be able to own a home. What is your plan to help bring down inflation and make life more affordable for Americans like me who are just starting off?
And a home is a big deal, right? Yeah. You know, you can't have the American dream because I'm giving the American dream. I gave up so much during During that 4-year period, we had the greatest economy, we had the greatest everything, and people were back to a thing called the American dream. I'm so glad you used the term. We're going to get interest rates way down. There are some places, 35% the cost of a home are regulations and nonsense that shouldn't be, between long-term zoning where it takes years and years to get it developed. We're going to take a lot of that out. I did, and they put a lot of it back in. The environmental approvals are terrible, just terrible, so ridiculously bad. And we're going to get it taken care of. We'll bring down the cost. The biggest thing with two things: make the economy good so you get a lot of money, right? Make the economy good. And the other thing is interest rates. We're going to get interest rates. Right now, you can't get money. Even if you had a good job, you're paying 10%, you're paying 11, 12%, and you can't get it. When I was president, it was 2.2% interest, and now, and the money was all over the place, and now you can't get the money. So we're going to make sure that you can get the money. And who's going to occupy that house with you?
Right now, it's just me.
But a beautiful family eventually, right? I'll bet. Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. How about that first-time voter, Olivia?
Great.
Gets to ask the president a question. You go, girl. Good job. Let's keep it up.
Right.
Where's Ty? It's Ty. Hello. Come on up here, too. Right in the middle.
I like that. You like that, everybody? Should I do it? Should I do it? What do you think? Should I grow one of
the goatee?
She said yes. Why not? Come on. Thank you very much. Looks good.
Good evening, Mr. President. We'd like to first thank you for being here and taking questions from us. The people of Carbon County would like to thank you for your service and commitment for making America great again. My name is Ty. I'm a small business owner. I've seen the detrimental effects of Kamala on the war on coal and rising energy costs. When you were president, the average price for gas around here was about $2.50. Today at the Wawa on the corner, it was $3.34. That difference over 4 years adds up. What is your plan to help businesses like myself, especially with the cost of energy?
So we actually had, and the big thing is going to be the cost of energy. Energy is so big, it's so like amorphous, it's all over the place. If you make donuts, it's a stove and the truck to bring them to wherever they're being delivered. The biggest thing is energy with this, with what you're talking about. We're going to get that way down. And our price per gallon was actually, we had it down to $1.87 a gallon. And we had actually the $3.50 was up to, that you had mentioned, that was up to $4, $5, and $6, and it was heading up again, and then they went back quickly. They ended my energy policy, and they were getting killed, and they went back to it. What they don't say is that they went back to it. They said, we're getting killed here the day after the election. If they won this election, they're going to go to a no fossil fuel deal. You're going to have all electric, and you're going to say, oh, I can't go far. It costs too much, and they're made in China. And we love Elon Musk, and he makes. And I think, and I will tell you, and I think these electric, what he does is incredible. The electric cars are great, but it's a certain application. Some people would like them, depending on distances. If you want to go long distances at this moment, maybe not. But the amazing thing about Elon, he's in Pennsylvania today campaigning for me. Can you believe it? And the Tesla is a great car, but I will tell you, but he will be the first to tell you, and he never called me once because I hit them hard because they have this electric mandate that in a very short period of time, everyone's forced to have an electric car. Well, what about hybrids? What about regular gasoline-propelled cars? We have more gasoline than anybody, but China has the product to make the batteries, so it's not a good thing for us. I've never had a call, and I speak to him a lot. He's incredible. How about that rocket that came down a few days ago? How cool was that? I called him up. I said, was that you? He said, yes. Nobody else can do that. Russia can't do it. China can't do it. And the U.S. can't do it, other than it's him. But no, he's incredible. But amazing thing, he never once called me up and said, give you my word, I never once called me up and said, lay off the electric, would you? He gave me the greatest endorsement. He understands he's going to have a tremendous market. There's a great market for that, but not 100% of the market. It's, gasoline and hybrid. And there's another one, Hydrogen. Did you ever hear that? That's a new one. But here's the problem. He knows. Mr. Wall, please stand up. He's heard this before. This gentleman has come to 300 rallies. He likes me. You know, he's a very successful guy, too. He just likes these rallies. He'd rather be watching this than some crummy football game, right? But, you know, what is happening is there is a lot of great technology, but hydrogen is not acceptable because it's better than anything except when there's a problem. It has a tendency to blow up. And when it blows up, you are unrecognizable. They call the wife down, would you please examine, not really the body, because there's no body, it's just a pile of stuff. And I don't want the hydrogen, if you don't mind. You know, it's one of those things, it's really wonderful, but when it doesn't work, you're dead. We don't want that. So we'll come to another, but there'll be other, over a period of time, there'll be other things. We're going to get those interest rates down. We're going to, and I'm telling you, I said it at the beginning, I'll say it again. We have more liquid, think of it, we have more gasoline and gas, and we have oil converted easily into gasoline. Also oil for your house, for your air conditioning, for your heating. We will have your electric bills and all of your energy bills down by, we're going to cut it in half. Anything you're paying right now, and that's going to make your business strong by itself. That's good. And it'll be done within 1 year. Because what are we going to do? Drill, baby, drill. Frack, baby, frack.
Frack, baby,
We're going to frack. We're going to frack and drill, okay? Thank you, man.
And
Thank
Ty.
you. Oh, good, I will. I will.
And Ty, what is your business?
I own a bar and restaurant in Lehighton, Pennsylvania, in the Carbon County.
What's the name of it?
Boatyard Bar and Grill, just outside of Jim Thorpe.
Sounds
There you
great.
go. Thank you. Thank you. And I love this. I love this topic because we know how many small businesses were decimated, especially after COVID, and what has happened since then. So, Ty, we're here for you. Go hang out at Ty's bar. Why not?
The one thing, sounds good. I'll bet it's a good place. Got a lot of action, right? Oh, it's Dan Musial? Oh, I see. Dan Muser. Is Dan here? Oh, where's Dan? Is it that good, Dan? I thought he said Stan Musial. Stan the man, remember? Hi, Dan. How are you? Who do we have here? Look, come on up here for a second, Dan. Am I allowed to do? Because this is our host, so I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but what do you think? One of our
This
great,
is the boss.
one
I
of
am
our
not in
great
charge
Congress
here.
people.
I
You
know.
know, under this forum, we don't really
Secret Service is
announce
gonna
our
examine it.
Congress people, our senators. And you're going to tell me who else is here with you, Dan. Come on up. This guy is fantastic. Congressman
Hi, Dan.
Dan
Welcome. Come on up in the
Muser.
middle.
How are we doing? Most importantly, Dan, most importantly, he's very much involved with the election. How are we doing?
We're doing great, Mr. President. And you know why? Because the enthusiasm for you has never been higher. And hey, how about it, everyone? We have so much to thank you for. What you did as president, our country was never stronger. What you're doing now, you and your family, what you've gone through for surviving, we thank you very much for that. And folks, how about we're going to be thanking him so much when he truly makes America great again. It's all going to happen pretty fast.
Thank you, Dan. Lloyd, come on up here, Lloyd. Come on up here. Lloyd Schmucker, Congressman, warrior. Lloyd Schmucker. Come on up here, Lloyd. Thank you very much. That's great. That's great.
Hi, Lloyd.
These are two warriors.
He had no idea he was being called on stage, did you?
No, not at all. But I can tell you, this is the district that I represent, and these are a room full of people who love you, Mr. President.
They love him, too.
And I'll also tell you, the enthusiasm is higher than 4 years ago and even 8 years ago right now. We're seeing volunteers like we haven't seen before. We're going to win this area big.
Thank you very much. Thank you both. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lloyd. Thank you. Good. Oh, I'm lucky. Oh, you have no idea the hell that I'd have to. If we would have said goodbye and these two warriors weren't introduced, I would have had a problem. I would have felt very badly. Good. Is there anybody else? You're going to go for McCormick. I know that, David.
Do you know
You're
what
gonna
I
go for
enjoyed
David.
watching was the expressions
well.
on the faces of the Secret Service as he's inviting people on stage, right?
They're not happy. They don't get too happy. That's right. They're saying, excuse me, sir, they won't be allowed on the stage. Anyway, This has been really great.
I think you ended the question with Ty about frack baby frack. And
Going to frack baby frack. She is not going to frack, by the way. She's been against fracking. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will do it. You know, with a politician, take a look at their initial record. That's what they go back to. She's only doing this because of the election. She just changed all these policies. She changed 15 different policies. She wanted the transgender operations, I mean, almost at will. And a lot of them, though, the taxing, she wants to do a capital gains tax on, think of this, on unrecorded values. Think of this. If it goes up, you don't have any cash, it goes up, she'll put everybody out of business. She wants a capital gains tax that's going to destroy the country. She wants to raise your taxes to 70 or 80%, kill all your jobs, chase everybody out to other countries. You know, businesses today, they will leave our country. They're international businesses, the big ones. And you want to get cute, everyone's going to pay. They say one day, I'm going to Asia, I'm going to Europe, I'm going to Germany, let's say, I'm going someplace. We can't do this. She wants capital gains taxes that have never been even tried before. They will destroy the country. This woman is so incompetent, she's so bad, you cannot, and I would normally not like to speak like that. If they get chosen, our country's finished. You know, Elon Musk is a very smart guy. You got to see his endorsement. He said, if this election isn't won by Donald Trump, our country is essentially finished. That's a hell of a statement for him to make. And he's a totally brilliant guy. This guy's got so much. And I have to say, and I've said it before, I said it yesterday at a rally, he makes something that Starlink, that I never heard of it, but it's great. It's communication. North Carolina, Georgia had some areas that were not, basically it's communication. It's a communication system. But especially North Carolina is the job that it was just totally demolished. They had no communications. People were dying. The federal government failed, worse than Katrina. They did nothing. The White House, her and Biden did nothing. And they needed to get Starlink. They said, you know Elon Musk? I said, I do. What? Because I was there. They said, is there a way we could get Starlink? So I called him up, and he had that to them so fast. It was unbelievable. And you can't get it. The congressmen know this. And so I just want to thank Elon Musk. Yes. But when you look at his endorsement, where he endorsed me, I mean, he's not going around all over Pennsylvania day and night, day and night. It's like he's running. He just feels that our nation, if it doesn't win this election, the nation is not going to survive. It's not going to survive.
It has been incredible
so I want to thank
watch.
Elon.
Yes, it has been a blessing to watch him. Without the First Amendment, we have nothing. And Elon Musk has come. Buying Twitter was an incredible thing to do. And I think all of us are so grateful for him appreciating what America was founded upon. I will say about the fracking, to wrap that part up, fortunately, we do have something called videotape. And in 2019 and several times since Kamala Harris has said she would ban fracking, and now we come back and a lot of flip-flopping on that. So just like with the border, when I asked timing and how quickly, we're in the Keystone State. We're in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, fracking. I mean, this is a gold
Do you want to put up,
here.
Do we have one of those fracking statements that she made? Because here, you know, we put it up sometimes, but Pennsylvania specifically.
Yes.
It's about fracking. Can they put that fracking tape up if they could do it? I don't know if they can do it. This is a different forum. But if they can, put up the frack.
I'm committed to passing a Green New Deal and finally putting an end to fracking once and for all.
If they fail to act as President of the United States, I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal.
I am offering a Green New Deal that has been described as one of the most aggressive and progressive.
What is it a Green New Deal?
It is a resolution. I believe that the underlying principles behind it are sound and important.
What is the solution for voters who have jobs and interests in the fossil fuel industry?
Giving the workers the ability to transition into the jobs of the future.
Of course we can afford it. It's not about cost.
So there you heard it. Good job backstage. Give me my wife. I said, give me that fracking statement. No, she doesn't want fracking. She's never wanted fracking. And by the way, she destroyed one of the greatest cities in the world, San Francisco, destroyed it. It's not even livable. She destroyed it, and she destroyed, along with Gavin Newsom. Have you heard of him? Terrible, one of the worst governors. He'll go down as one of the worst governors in history, Gavin Newsom. But the two of them destroyed California. How do you destroy California? The ocean, the temperature, everything is, it's like a perfect place. They're destroying it. They had more people leave it, think of it, than come in. First time, I think, ever. It's an incredible place, and they have virtually destroyed it. And she's not going to, she will not destroy, we're not going to let her destroy America. That's all there is to it.
Fracking, how soon, how quickly, how much in Pennsylvania?
Well, we have to go. You know, what you're doing is fracking, but you can do much more. You can do double and triple what you're doing right now. You're restricted by so many different things that they put on. So we're going to let them frack, like a duck. Frack. You can do 3 times what you're doing now and even 4 times, and you can do it. And it won't have any impact on you. It's not going to have any impact. So we can, and tremendous money. You can lower your taxes for the state. Great for the country. But you're in a state that has tremendous, capability that you wouldn't even think. You don't think of Pennsylvania. When you think of Pennsylvania as a commonwealth and having to do with fracking, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have thought. But now it's your biggest, most important thing. It's 5. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania produces 500,000 energy jobs. They'd be wiped out. So they can actually do a lot more if they wanted to, if they were allowed. I will allow them to do a lot more. We're going to get your energy bills down at a level that you haven't seen before. It's going to make a big difference.
And here we go. We have time for one final question. Sarah, come on up, girlfriend.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Nice to have you here.
Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Sarah. I'm a veteran, U.S. Marine veteran, and
great.
And I'm a Purple Heart recipient.
Wait. They didn't hear this part. This is very important. Please say it again, Sarah.
I'm a U.S. Marine veteran and a Purple Heart recipient of Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. Many veterans face significant challenges such as accessing quality health care, mental health support, and transition assistance back into civilian life. Will you commit to making the VA Choice program that you open up permanent?
So we had VA Choice, and this was something that was so important, was sought. That's where you have a choice of getting a doctor if you can't get fairly, quick service. And I will say we have great doctors. The doctors are incredible, but the administration of it is not good. And as you know, 4 years ago, we had the highest rated VA ever. We were at 92% approval rating. And I got 2 things done. I got VA Choice, and that was basically you wait, and if you don't have a doctor within 48 hours, you can go outside, get a doctor, we pay the bill, and you get yourself taken care of. People were waiting for 4 and 5 months to see a doctor, and they were not feeling well, but literally it was a minor thing, and they end up being terminally ill because of it. Think of it, terminally ill. The other thing we did, we had a lot of people that because of civil service and unions and other things, you couldn't fire them under any circumstances, no matter what they were. And they were sadists and they were thieves. There were a lot of bad people, right? You couldn't fire anybody. So they were living with people that were horrible. And these were both authorized by Congress. One was 52 years, they couldn't get it. The other was 58 years. I got the right to fire bad people that didn't take care of our veterans, right? You know that. And we fired 9,000 people and replaced them with great people, with loving people. And those 2 things, and we had a 92% approval rating, and it's never been even close to that. Now, here's the bad news. They're very rapidly breaking the system up. And they've hired a lot of the people back that were terrible and that we fired. One of the problems, it's just unbelievable. And they don't know, you know why? Because they don't know what the hell they're doing. And the other thing is they're slowly getting rid of choice, so that they're making it so tough that you almost can't use it. We were actually saving money on choice because you save, a doctor would fix them up and get them back and beautiful. Instead, they were getting sicker, sicker, and sicker, and many of them became terminal. You know, I did one other thing, I have to say, right to try. That's where you have a right to try medicines that won't be approved for another 4 or 5 years. They've been trying for 50 years, more than that, to get it approved. And, you know, the insurance companies didn't want it, the country didn't want it, nobody wanted it, the doctors didn't want it because they didn't want to be sued. And I said, here's what we're going to do. I sat down in a room with all of them, the labs. I said, we're going to make a deal. They're going to sign a document saying they're not going to hold anybody liable, and we're going to get the right to try. And nobody really wanted to do it, but we did it. I forced it on them. We have saved thousands and thousands of lives. And even the labs now, and the doctors like it, because we're finding out that, you know, some of these things are incredible. They're taking people that were terminally ill, and they're getting better. Some of them are getting totally better. And we've saved thousands and thousands of lives. It sounds so simple. I love the name, Right to Try. People used to go to Asia, they'd go to Europe, they'd go all over the world looking for a cure, or they had no money and they couldn't do that. They'd go home and they'd just die. Now they sign a simple document, and we're using space-age things that won't be approved for another few years by the FDA, and we moved that time up. But they won't be approved for a little while. You know, you have to go through a very extensive testing. But if people are willing to sign that, we have saved so many thousands of lives. So I think you understand. But we're going to go back to choice very rapidly. Immediately, we're going back to choice. And we're also going to get rid of the bad people that don't love you. Okay?
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you for your service. My goodness. Army brat here. That's where our roots are. Our servicemen and women, our first responders, that's where it is. And so thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much, and congratulations. I want to wrap up on this, if I could. I had the opportunity a few months ago to talk to your lovely daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, on my show. She is incredible. She's an incredible woman. She is obviously so committed to bringing you back to where you belong. She's an incredible mother. I've been traveling with her a lot lately, and she's amazing. And one of the things we talked about on my show was the why with you. Because you have a lot of other things you could be doing right now. Your bank account looks pretty good. You have a few golf courses around the country. You have a few buildings here and there. You had 4 incredible years. You have grandchildren. You have another one on the way. Congratulations to your daughter, Tiffany. One of my favorite moments with you was watching the RNC and watching your daughter, your granddaughter, 17 years old, on the stage, and what that must have felt like for you. So there's so much that you have, and then you come out here, and you just said it's such a dangerous job, and you choose to continue to do this when you don't have to. It's safer, it's cheaper, all of the things to not do what you're doing today. Why? Why?
So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, I probably am asked that question more than any other question. They say, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. I think I'm asked that question maybe like, why do you do this? Or if you had it to do again, sort of a similar question, would you do it over? And the answer to that is so easy and so emphatic, yes. But the reason is, I was saying to, in a sort of kidding fashion the other night at a rally with these great rallies, and I was saying, I didn't have to be here. I was in the middle of a little bit of a rough area, and I loved every minute of it. We had, I think, 28,000 people. We had 101,000 people in Butler, you know that. We had 107,000 people in California the other day. And I said, here's the story. I could be anywhere I want. I could be on the finest beaches having that sun go over that very white skin that hasn't seen sun in years. I could be hit in the face with beautiful waves of salt and beautiful salt water. I could be wherever I want, and I have great properties all over. Or I could be here with you people, and you know what? I would rather be here with you than any other thing that I can do, because you have a lot of people that are rich or wealthy, and they can do what they want to do. But we're doing something that's unique. This is the greatest movement of all time. We're going to turn our country around. Our country is really, it's a failing nation. I don't care what you say. I mean, we're laughed at all over the world by other leaders. 4 years ago, we were respected by everybody. China, Russia. Russia would have never gone into Ukraine. Israel would have never been attacked on October 7th. We would have never had the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, which is, you saw what happened in Afghanistan, the Taliban. We would have never had, think of it, we would have never had Afghanistan. We were getting out, but we were going to get out with dignity and strength, and we're going to keep the big air base Bagram because it's 1 hour away, spent billions and billions of dollars, just about the biggest, most powerful, longest runways in the world. We gave it to China. They gave it to China. China's now operating. We were 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We gave it up. Would have never happened. All of these things, we wouldn't have had inflation because our energy was so good. Energy caused the inflation, what they did with energy. But I said to myself, you know, sometimes I see, you know, I get hit with all these lunatics that we have, where the radical left lunatics, where they make up stories about Russia, Russia, Russia. In the end, I wouldn't change what we've done for anything. We're going to make America great again, greater than ever before. And we can't do that sitting on a beach, right? We can't do that sitting on a beach. So I wouldn't change it for a thing. And I just want to thank you. You've really done a great job tonight. And you have a tremendous understanding. You know, I thought that I know you through sports and through other things, but you have really got an understanding of both the good and the bad of where this country is. And I appreciate you being here very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm an American. That's all it is. I just love this country, and I love that you love this country. This is what we need, and he does choose to do this for all of us. So help me give him a grand exit off the stage here, because he has football to go watch. The 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much. Thank you.